My dad has gotten pulled over a few times, but it's always been for the occasional going a few miles over the speed limit. Nothing crazy. Except for the time we both almost got arrested in the middle of the night for Grand Theft Auto and street racing. So it's a Saturday night, like 7:30 p.m., right? I'm on my third bowl of cereal and my 10th episode of Power Rangers Dino Thunder, when all of a sudden, my dad comes out of nowhere, and he's like, "We're leaving in 2 minutes, you ready?" And I'm like, I had completely forgotten. Like a week ago, he told me I was gonna come with him to this work thing he had, which was 2 hours away from us in Denver. You know how sometimes parents just volunteer you for side quests that you've never asked for? Yeah. This was one of those times. But I don't really mind. I enjoy a good night drive, especially because I thought there's a chance I could get a McDonald's burger out of it or something. So I rush to put on my pants and we get in the car. And this thing still relatively has a new car smell because it was a pretty nice newer Honda. And the thing could move. Because remember when I said it's about a 2-hour drive from our place to Denver? Yeah, well, I say the word about because my dad can normally get to these places a lot faster than that. Legally, of course. If you remove speed limits. But it's already like 7:45 p.m. and he's got places to be. So we absolutely... I don't know exactly how fast we got there because I kind of blacked out midway through, but let me tell you, it was not 2 hours. But like I said, my dad's a safe driver. He's just a little fast sometimes. Not all the time, but sometimes. Which is normally fine, but in my opinion, speeding doesn't make any sense. Because if you happen to get pulled over because it's illegal, instead of shaving a few minutes off your drive, you add sometimes an hour to it. Plus jail time. Oh yeah, and on top of that, you're endangering lives. So I personally don't speed, and I definitely didn't back then because I was like 13, so I couldn't even if I wanted to. But anyway, it's like an hour into my dad's work thing. He's out here meeting with people about something probably important, big stonks. He's almost done, but between his meeting and the drive time, it's almost 10 p.m. So I'm just hanging out thinking, dang. At this rate, we might not get home till after midnight. Of course, my dad's gonna do his best to, shorten that time frame, but like I said before, if he goes just a little too fast, it could end up being a long night. I'm just really hoping I can get a burger out of this, because that would make it all worth it. My dad finally finishes up. I'm stoked to head home, so we get in the car and he's like, "I'm kinda hungry. You hungry?" Si, senor. So we head over to good old Mickey D's. I get my freaking burger. And it's shaping out to be a pretty good night. Right after we get food, my dad looks at the clock and he's like, "Geez, it's almost 10:30. We gotta get home." We start booking it down the interstate. And this was back before Colorado had a population of almost 6 million, so there was not a soul on the highway as we were speeding down it. And I'm probably being a bit dramatic. It just felt insanely fast because we were the only ones on the road. But I reckon he was going just a few over the speed limit because we even passed a cop on the highway, so my dad wasn't going that fast because we didn't even get pulled over. Yet. So finally, we get off the highway, we're on our way home, about 20 minutes from our house, we're both exhausted, and we're on a pretty big road. Speed limit's probably 65. But up in the distance, there's a light. And the light turns green. Of course, my dad is like, "Oh man, we're never gonna make this light." But it's almost midnight. So he speeds up a little to try to make this light. Again, no one's on the road, it's just us. I do not condone this behavior, I'm just letting you know under the circumstances, everyone was safe. He just starts speeding up a little more, and a little more. And I'm thinking we might as well cut our losses because there's no way we're gonna make this light. And sure enough, yep, I figured. But he's still going. I don't think we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. It'll be fine. See? Told you it was fun. Oh man. This cop comes out of nowhere. And I'm thinking, we're going to jail. This is it. I'm too young to be in prison for the rest of my life. Right then I heard the door slam and we got blinded by a flashlight. This lady cop comes up to our door and leans over like, "You know why I pulled you over?" And my dad's like, "Yeah, I'm sorry. I was speeding a little bit. I'm just tired. It's late and I just want to get me and my kid home." And this lady just looks at us and doesn't say anything. She starts looking us up and down, like to see if our story checks out. As if she thinks my dad and I, a 13-year-old, are some maniacal criminals bent on running red lights and speeding after 11 p.m. on weekends or something. Which I'm not, so it's okay. I think. Maybe I am illegal. Alright, it checks out. I can see you two are just in a hurry to get home tonight. You honestly weren't even driving too recklessly. The real reason I pulled you over is because we got a bunch of calls about street racers in this area tonight. Some pretty insane, and we've been trying to catch them all night, especially because a few of them are driving some pretty expensive stolen cars. Could you imagine if I arrested you guys for Grand Theft Auto by mistake? Oh, I would never hear the end of it. But anyway, you two be safe getting home. No need to... She absolutely books it back to her police car and she turns around like, "You guys can go home!" And she took off after this guy. My dad and I just looked at each other like, well, she didn't give us a ticket or anything. W. So we drove home and my dad didn't speed at all. Mostly. Mainly because it's not safe and it's dumb, and don't do it because it doesn't make sense, and if you do the math, you only save like half a minute on any given 20-minute drive, which is not worth your life or anyone else's life. And what you definitely shouldn't do is change your pants while you're driving so you end up hitting a person like me, which is what happened in this video. Definitely check that out if you haven't already. Subscribe if you enjoyed, and as always, thank you so much for watching.